Dusty, snap out of it!
Any of this look familiar?
Our constellation contact is on approach.
Yeah, but come on. Exploring space? Who does that anymore? Ain't the space we've already got complicated enough?
Welcome aboard the Starfield Report podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Starfield Report podcast. I am your host, Kenny Smyson, Ken Pohl, depending on where you know me from. And with me, as always, is Jax. How you doing, Captain Jax?
Doing great this morning. How's everybody doing out there?
And we're both on the tail end of having a cold each, so we've got cough drops and water, and hopefully we get through it without disturbing you guys too much with our coughing. But man, this is going to be our last recording of the year, Jax.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
I'm excited to get this one done, get it in the can,
Yep.
and then the next one, forward to the next one a lot.
Yeah, I mean, getting this whole Shattered Space DLC behind us will be nice. I mean, like, you know, one of us just went and had some real life DLC, form of a new baby. You know, so inconsiderate to ruin the show with a baby, but you know, gotta spread through the galaxy somehow.
That's it. Propagate.
Yes, gotta move out and spread our gene pool out there.
Yep.
So, all right. First off, though, we have some listener feedback. And you guys can send in feedback to us at starfieldreport@gmail.com. I'll pull that up right now. And this comes from player One Subset. And let's see here. He says, or she says, I don't know that specify their gender, but in any event, One Subset says, I just discovered your podcast. Being someone who is very much a fan of Starfield, I'm going to start listening to you from the beginning. I have played the game from day one and still have not finished it. I mean, but do you ever really finish Starfield? No.
It's very similar. That's the thing. You ever really finish the game?
Yeah.
You get to, and then you just make it up as you go.
Yeah. You can finish all the quests, but then you can play a new character. Like my final character, after I do all the major quest lines, I always start up a final character in their games just to mainly explore. And I might, you know, do a few side quests, just the ones that I didn't happen to come across on any previous character. Let's see. You two guys have inspired me to start another character with some of the attributes that you have considered for your characters. Now that's an interesting point because I've got to kind of pay homage to a Skyrim Addict and the Fallout feed, because with their roundtables they do, that's what really got me into doing multiple characters. You know, being able to play with different skill sets and different, which really changes how you approach the game, how you think about the game, and if you're get more into the role play like I have throughout the years of the character, you know, trying to make decisions that are more fitting for who that character is.
Yeah.
Let's see. I hope you keep this podcast going. It is good to have real people who are playing a game and enjoy the game talking about the game, instead of someone who's being paid to discuss a narrative about a game that they really don't feel.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten my paycheck from Bethesda yet.
Oh, sorry.
Have you? Did you get yours?
Have you paying for Christmas? No, I have not gotten a paycheck from nobody.
This is like an inverse thing. It's like we're like putting our time, effort, our money, you know, to get a microphone, to you know, you got a new computer, although that's more for the modding part. But yeah, we're like we're the ones that we're spending all this money and stuff, and putting on a show, and we're not getting paid. We're paying out
Well,
to
I'll tell you what, this is really inspiring to have somebody finally write back and say that we're affecting their gameplay and their mindset towards the game and the way that they play,
yeah,
which is a lot of what we're doing this for. We're bouncing off of each other because it keeps the two of us inspired to continue to play.
yeah.
And I hope that's what we're doing for everybody that watches.
Well, and then
So,
the main thing I've discovered that I get out of our friendship and our love for the game, and it's obviously because of Bethesda, how they operate, is we tell each other about the mods we come across, and those mods, help me play the game longer than I would probably otherwise, right? And so I think
yeah,
that's probably the biggest thing for me.
yeah. If you've not played the game before, play the entire game unmodded, just vanilla.
Yeah.
Play through one. Then you know the game inside and out. You understand what you're doing, and at that point, mod it any way you want.
Yeah.
I mean, have fun with it, and it's not cheating, and none of it's cheating because it's a single player game. The only thing you're doing is changing your perspective of how you play the game. That's it. There's no cheating involved. I'm not affecting anybody else's gameplay.
Yeah, yeah. When they added that update that has the sliders for difficulty and all those other features, some of those were mods previously that altered the difficulty or made it to where things were
More
easier,
money,
like accessing your cargo from anywhere. Whereas it
right?
used to be the default was you had to be within 250 meters.
Right.
And so then Bethesda, just when they added that update, they made it to where anybody, or like a lot of those things that were mods were now just part of the game. So like, is it now still cheating? For those that discredit
Well,
mods, it's like, yeah,
so Bethesda added a penalty system and a benefit system. So if you want to make it super hard on yourself, you can. You can go through and turn all the sliders up to maximum and make it the enemies real spongy, and you're really one shot, dying. And so you can make it really hard on yourself, but then you can turn it around and you can make it a lot easier. You can access your ship from anywhere, but
yeah.
that changes the amount of experience you get. So you can get a bonus up to like 30 or 40% extra experience if you make it really hard,
Oh,
or you can
I
turn
get
it.
up to 55% the way I do it.
I think mine hovers around 26% because I just play the game to play the game.
Well, I admit I do frequently go in. The two things are cargo access distance, vendor credits. So I have those scaled to where it gives me as much XP that I can. But then
Oh, I do mine.
yeah, and then so then that way, um, when I'm done with clearing out a dungeon or done with something, I can change those settings and then go sell all my stuff. And that's just to speed up time. In Starfield, that's more the case because you're constantly going across a lot of planets, right? I wouldn't do that in Skyrim if I'm playing like the way I usually like to play. I like to actually be over encumbered in Skyrim. Well, not that I like getting that way, but when I do get that way, I get more out of it by being overburdened because now I've got to look at the map. Where's the nearest village or city that I can get to start selling some stuff, right? But in Starfield,
Some
because you're going from all these planets, it's not the same. So I'll change the settings so I carry a ton of weight and can access my cargo, and then I'll change the vendor credits. I do all three of those at the same time: cargo access, weight, and the vendor credits. I'll go do my merchant run. Usually hit up Neon City.
Yeah, that's through all of the Bethesda games are that way. Where if I get over encumbered, then you go looking through your pack and you're like, okay, do I really need this cup? Do I need these 2 pieces of silverware?
Yep.
No, I could just, okay, I'm only 1 pound over. What can I find? What's cheap that I don't really want? And it seems like you always get everything distilled down to a point where you're like, man, I sure would like to keep that holy relic, or I need to, that legendary weapon, but that's the cheapest item I've got.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's nice in Starfield that you can access that stuff from anywhere, and that's how I keep it. I have all of the enemy stuff, all of the damage turned up to maximum, uh, maximum exp, but then I just leave the vendors with more money,
Yep.
ship access with anywhere, and carry weight turned up.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
that gives me about 25% extra experience.
Okay.
I do some stuff where I gotta sleep on my ship. I can't sleep anywhere else, and damage from environment, damage from enemies, broken, sprained ankles, bleeding, all of that stuff. So,
Yeah. I've got most of that up like that too. The one thing I did make harder to get more XP, but I changed was the uh, afflictions. Like when you're sick, you get like when you're on a hostile environment planet and you start,
mhm.
your suit can't fully protect you. It's still like radiation or whatever. I did change that just because it was just annoying. The
That's
combat damage I'm fine with being very hard and difficult, but not with the affliction stuff. That was
well, and if you're 15, 18, 20, and you've got 8 hours a day to play a game, that's one thing.
yeah.
When you have a household to run and you have to support the family by going and doing that thing we hate called work,
Yep.
well, then you've only got so much time. So you've got to maximize that time. So it's not cheating, it's making the game playable for you.
Exactly.
Otherwise, what am I going to do? I'm going to be playing pinball or Tetris? No. I'm past that.
Yep.
I've evolved.
All right. And so this email wraps up. Keep up the good work, and I will be contacting you guys soon enough when I'm caught up. Now, unfortunately, that email was sent, I think, right after our last recording, because then, let's see, it was how many days later? Or no, it was only 4 days later. Okay. So this is the next email. Mind blowing. I'm writing you guys because I'm having a great time with your podcast. All I can say is I am blown away with what you are telling me that I have to go through with this game. I didn't know half of the stuff that you get two guys are speaking on, especially after being Starborn and all that. Like I said in my last email, keep up the good work and do not stop. Yeah, there's a lot to this game, and obviously, if you're coming across this podcast, we're spoiling the quest lines because quest lines have been out. The game's been out for over 2 years now. So, but yeah, obviously, definitely appreciate the email subset, and yeah, go ahead and send in some more feedback. Especially if you're caught up on our podcast players, and you want to go through the email. I mean, I don't think we're ever gonna be able to pull off the schedule like the Fallout feed does, like every week.
Right.
And doing like the whole roundtable thing. But I do want to create a random character generator. I think that would be fun. But we'll dedicate a period of time, to each of the main faction quests over the course of the next year, and so then that we'll probably do just 2 episodes per quest, kind of, because the Shattered Space one, I had this all planned out in my head. We'll do 4 episodes. Well, it's technically 5 because Starfield Sandwich joined us in the middle of Solier. So technically 5 episodes on the Shattered Space DLC. So I think in the future quests, we'll only do 2 episodes, and we'll really tighten it up a bit and be a little more on point, so to speak. But yeah, definitely send in your feedback to starfieldreport@gmail.com. Always love hearing from you guys. Let's see. Well, what are we going to do? We're doing
Wait,
the Vanguard
sorry.
next, right? Oh, go ahead.
Join us on our Discord. We've got
yeah.
a shipbuilding tab for you guys to throw up your ship builds up there. I've been trying to populate that with a few of my ships. Kenny's got a ship or 2 up in there. And I think there's one what else do we have? General. So, and mod recommendations. So that's free for all you guys to use. Send us what you're thinking, your ship builds, general thoughts on the game, mod recommendations. If you guys are playing a mod and you enjoy it, let us know about it so we can talk about it. I love seeing mods. That's my major um, motivation for continuing to play this game. So let us know.
Yeah, that's true. Now we've got our Starfield Report podcast is the name of the Discord channel, and we originally just kind of started it up for just being show based, but we realized might as well have the community hop in there too if you guys want to. Of course, I'm also a Dark Stars Wicked's Discord, that lively crew over there.
Dark Star headquarters, yeah, that's a great one. They just opened theirs up on Reddit also. So
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when you're in the big leagues, when you're starting it up on Reddit.
Got a Reddit page. All right, so this morning we are going to start the quests with exhuming the past. So we've talked to all the houses, and we've gone back to
this is House Dual Kef.
Dual Kef. Oh, yes. So he wants us to go see what's going on. If there's a large dam outside of the city, and we need to go see what's going on at this dam. The dam is used to capture water and then feed the is it the algae beds or the kelp beds or something, seaweed beds, something like that, and they use that to feed the Groot, and use the Groot to feed the city. So it's a whole circle of life like that, right?
Oh yeah. Now, thankfully, when I first landed in Dazra, before I did any quests, I kind of explored the city, and then I got on the outskirts and just discovered locations. So I'd already been to the dam, and when I came across the one console that requires a key card, I'm like, oh, I can't get in there yet. This is going to be a quest. And so sure enough, it was. So that way I was able to just fast travel out there. I didn't have to drive all the way out there or walk all the way out there.
Right. So we get out there and we look around, and we come across a door that's locked. Then we come across a scared kid. Is that right?
Yeah. So, does the kid have the key card, or he tells you where to go get one?
Tells you to go find it from a local farmer.
Yeah. So then that's on the other side of he's
on the downstream side of the
downstream of the dam. You have to cross some of those fields to get to him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for me, doing this quest at such a high level, my character's 100 and well over 100. I think close to 200 now.
Yeah.
I mean, I was, with all my speech abilities, I'm able to get through conversations relatively easy. So I don't know. Plus, I have Andreja with me, and so, which she was my wife in my very first universe. I'm now in my final universe. Knock on wood. And so I'm really living in this environment, living in this universe, and having her with me is pretty cool, because it does give you a little more depth, some cool dialogue options, and I can have her speak up. It says Andreja, so she's a dialogue choice, whereas then she'll say something, and so I've used her literally instead of me using one of my skills, like sometimes you'll have like one of your medicine skills really high, so you can accomplish something in a dialogue option to get something or to progress it. I can just say, "Oh, Andreja," and and she'll take point and say something, and I get what I need. Yeah. So then you get back to the dam, and you head on in the dam. Now, I will say this: this is the shortest of the 3 house quests.
Right. Yeah.
As far as time spent, but it's, I think, the most relevant to the overall story of the Shattered Space DLC, because of what we uncover when we exhume the past.
So it says that we need to get the key from Kavil one way or another. So I guess you could either do it with speech or with lead, but one way or another, he's giving us the key.
Yeah.
Now, was he getting attacked when you showed up?
No, he was just chilling out. It was so inconsequential that I remember thinking like, man, they should have just had the kid with the key, or just they could have just laid the key right next to the console, because like this literally did nothing. Well, there's a decision you make towards the end of this quest that affects that farm potentially.
Yeah.
So I think that's why they introduced it, but they speed you through it so quickly. You know.
Right, you're supposed to build a rapport with this guy. Oh, we know there's people living down here down here in this farmstead, so you're supposed to have this emotional tie to them now.
Yeah.
But it was so quick that it wasn't anything more than just walking by and saying, "Give me the key, thanks, bye." So I don't think it accomplished really as much as they maybe intended it to.
Yeah. I almost wonder if maybe they were gonna. You know how when you're a lot of times in these RPG games, especially Bethesda games, you're doing a quest. You have to go get something from somebody. You get to that person, like, oh, you need this. Okay, I need you to go get this thing for me, right? And it's like a never-ending. Sometimes it's a never-ending thing. I bet you they originally thought to do something like that. So then that way, if you spent time doing something for this guy,
Right.
I mean, they could have even just had it be an action-packed thing, like, hey, um, I'll give this to you, but I've been having issues with zealots attacking. They've got a base over on the other side of the hill. Can you go wipe them out for me? Yeah, I don't know. Then that way there would have been more of a, oh, I've spent time working with this guy. I've helped him.
Right. Yes. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you build an emotional rapport with somebody,
Yeah.
and later on, if something happens, then you've got that emotion to tie back to help you make decisions.
Yeah.
So this is all foreshadowing, folks. It'll make sense in a few minutes.
Yep. All right. So we get into the dam, and the place is a bit of a ghost town, which is kind of weird. You think it would be staffed, or maybe I guess the staff could have been all at the Citadel when all that big old thing happened. But you come across your first person, and it's a phantom. This one actually talks to you before engaging in violence, and I don't think it's possible to not be violent with this person.
Yeah, it's baked in. I'm pretty sure you're right.
So I can't remember her name, but she swore an oath to Anasko. Yeah, well, to the Speaker of House Varun, and so she's gonna make sure to shoot anybody that comes in here.
She doesn't know that things aren't going as planned. So
Exactly.
we've
Yeah,
already
she's a
got
little.
plan
Yeah, she's a little isolated in there. Oh, of course we forgot the whole reason. Oh well, let's see. At some point, you discover the term vortex interlock. That's
I
what
thought we found that. I thought we found one somewhere else. A vortex interlock.
I
Or
think
was it here?
this is where you find them towards the end.
Okay.
But I'm trying to figure out where we discovered that term. It must have been.
Was it in the space station?
No. It's because the vortex interlock are those little pearl looking things. That
Okay.
that are in the little dome desk thing that like spins up.
Yep.
I can't remember where you first come across that term, but somewhere recently, or because Ekris, the guy who needs all three houses cooperating, and he needs something from each house. I think he's the one that knows that term. Anyways, you're there to get the vortex interlock. So when you bring that up to her, thinking it might help, she's indifferent. She's like, "Oh wow, okay, so you know a little bit about what's going on here. I don't care. I'm still going to be violent." And so
you can't have it.
yeah, and so long story short, with this, you fight her 2 or 3 times as you make your way through the dam. And I kept trying to be diplomatic about it because I'm role playing my character as myself, trying to. I don't want to do this. You're not going to be able to kill me. I'm Starborn. I can reload my game anytime, lady. Come on, even if you kill me.
I got thick armor
Yeah,
today.
and she puts up a pretty good fight, and
Yeah,
eventually, there's 2 more. So there's a total of 3 of these phantoms that all have specific names that you fight. But you get towards the end of this whole thing, and you come across these pods that have people in them, and they are the phantoms. So like their body is in this tube, but they're like astral projecting themselves, and that's what the phantoms are. And so that's where, in a way, doing for me to do this one last of all three houses was cool because it like recontextualizes everything I had just seen. Where all of
Right.
those phantoms you were fighting, you thought were just a side effect from this calamity that occurred. But in reality, it's like their
Their consciousness.
their consciousness is projected out there, and that's why when you
Yeah.
kill, well, I don't know. Okay, that's not entirely true because when you kill these phantoms, their form disappears entirely. When you kill the phantoms out and about, their body does drop right there. So there
Yeah.
is a difference. But
Yeah.
it contextualizes everything where you understand that that's well throughout going through this maze, be on the lookout in the dam for any audio recording because up to this point, with my character pledging themselves to the Great Serpent because of the faith journey arc my character was on, I, really liked Onosco. I thought he was a cool dude. You find out he's not so cool,
Yeah.
depending on how your perception of faith and religion is. And so
Yeah,
being that I basically am role playing myself. Now in real life, I'm a Christian, but I'm like, all right, I'm going to navigate this path, and I like the idea of worshiping a specific entity, right? Like that's why I like could ever be like part of a religion personally that like has like a just a general code, you know. Like there has to be like a named deity to worship, So like in the real world, we've got Jesus, we've got Buddha, we got Allah, all that. They don't have any of the named faiths in Starfield, but they except for the Varun, they're the only one that has like a specific entity that they worship. So that's why I chose to go ahead and embrace this forced conversion that the game really puts you on. We've hashed that so many times, but so Onosco was like very much a figure I liked, and then you discover that basically
through one episode, huh?
what's that?
Couldn't get through one episode,
No,
huh?
we couldn't. We can't. We have to hash that out. I think we probably have mentioned that every single episode. They forced us to convert. But yeah, you listen to there's one recording in particular where Onosco is like talking to these phantoms, or before they become phantoms, and saying like, yeah, um, you're gonna do this and become this person for the greater good, basically. And
Yeah.
he's pretty callous, and was not what I was expecting because every time you come across him, you always kind of assume he's a good spiritual leader for the community.
Right. And now you find out, yeah, he's more of a cult leader.
Yeah, yeah. Like I immediately started thinking of all the big televangelists.
Yeah. Okay. That'll put me on a rant.
Yeah.
Moving forward.
Yeah.
Because we still got a long way to go.
Yeah.
We got a long way to go this morning.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's wrap this one up then. I mean, because it's shorter, pretty straightforward to the point.
A couple of spots where I got kind of lost as to what I was supposed to be doing. And there's a spot where it says that you need to, and it glosses over this, and I didn't catch it the first time I played, but it says to destroy the modulator. I think those are those speaker-looking things, right?
Yeah, like the blue light dome looks kind of like a speaker. Yeah.
And so I jumped and hovered and backpacked up to it and tried to hit it and tried to interact with it, and I couldn't do nothing. And it took me a while. Okay, ding dong, stand across the room, point your gun at it, and pull the trigger. So destroy means destroy.
Yeah.
So yeah, you gotta blow those things up in order to progress. Otherwise, you'll wander around for 30 or 45 minutes, kicking yourself in the behind, trying to figure out what you're doing wrong.
Yep.
Or at least I did. That's exactly what happened to me. So fair warning, folks, you got to destroy those.
Yeah, you have to destroy those, which those become relevant in the next quest that we'll get to, the final quest, Skilled Citadel. Another thing that hung me up was the key card where there's that little teleport thing. And I was brain farting a bit, but when you read the notes on the computer on the other side of the room, it says something. You have to increase when there's low power mode. You have to increase the number by a factor of 100. And so instead of I think
number puzzle.
I think it was like 235. You have to have it say 335. And so that was driving me nuts because I didn't quite read that right the first time I read it. And so I went back and read it a little more carefully. And then you get the key card so you can progress.
This is what you're talking about, where it was processing the thing from one chamber to the other.
Yeah.
It was like a teleporter. Yeah, I spent a lot of time looking because it said that if you read the notes, it was something about a pin. It was able to do a pin. It was able to do a notepad, and then there was something that it didn't. And so I spent a bunch of time there too. Look around, find a pin, put it in the thing, push the button, nothing happened. Take that out. Put a notepad in there, push the button, change the numbers. Thinking that I needed to convert something from a pin to a key card.
Yeah.
And it wasn't what I was making it way too difficult.
Yep. I mean, eventually you reach the point where you come across the other three and you fight them, or you fight all three at the same time, and you come across you do something with the power in the station, I believe, and then you go back to those pods, and then you can take the interlocks out. Now, the female that you come across first, you don't take her interlock out. It doesn't give you the option, but the other two you do. And when you take one out, the body that's inside the tube, his body just falls out. It's kind of weird, but whatever. I guess it's so you can loot his body. But you have a choice of taking out one or both. And it says something how if you take out both, that it's going to have a negative consequence on the farming community that you were at the beginning of the quest to get the key card to enter the dam. Now me being me, I'm like, well, one, you might as well have none, because if something goes wrong, you need a second. So one is 0 and 2 is 1 in my book.
Yeah.
Right?
One is none, 2 is 1.
Exactly. And so I take both, and I went back to the farm to check in on him, and he was just like, oh, our life is ruined. But I'm like, I didn't see how it affected us as the player. And so I had to look at, because you took both as well, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I looked it up, and the only impact on us as the player for taking 1 versus 2 is if you only take 1, you have to take a longer route fighting a bunch of random phantoms to get out of the dam. That's the only difference.
So it opens a secret door.
Yeah.
Shortcut door.
Yeah. Taking the second one just gets you out of the dam faster. And
time I play through this, I will just take the 1. Because I'm not going to intentionally. If it doesn't do anything, I'm not going to intentionally.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because in the end, you don't have taking the interlocks back to Akris, there's no benefit to having both with you.
Yeah.
At that point, I mean, from a role play standpoint,
flooded the parks.
Yeah. Yeah, you just. Yep. And so, I went back and talked to the guy. The farms are ruined, but obviously it's not like they won't be able to fix them. You go back to Akris, and then is this when they? Yeah, this is when they fire up the huge gun thing. It raises up. It's a pretty cool little sequence. And it shoots
kind of a cutscene.
Yeah. And it shoots this beam at the energy field surrounding the citadel, and it weakens the force field thing enough for you to be able to get in. And that's going to take us to our next quest. All right, and now we are at the final quest, the Scaled Citadel, which this one's a bit longer because it's a lot of action, but story-wise, you kind of have all the pieces in place. So from a story perspective, there's not a lot to cover in here. By the time you get to this quest, you've discovered all the pasts or all the history. So, or most of it.
I think this was probably my favorite part of Shattered Space.
Yeah, because up to this point, the DLC story felt a little lackluster. Honestly, it starts off cool, and then as you're going through the quest, you're just like, this is kind of a little boring. But then exhuming the past quest was very helpful in getting a little more insight, revealing some history with the whole Phantom and the interlocks. So then you get to this quest, and it definitely ramps up. It's got a good crescendo here at the end.
Right. I'm more action oriented, I guess, for a lot of this stuff. And so this whole DLC has been a lot of reading and listening and talking and, so with a little bit of, combat thrown in here and there, one or two monsters here, one or two monsters there. And there's a couple of exceptions, but for the most part, that's what this has all been.
Yeah.
What we're about to get to is a nonstop run and gun, keep going, getting attacked the whole way through this thing.
Yep.
So it's pretty fun, pretty exciting. If that's what you're down for, this is the part you've been waiting for.
Yeah, so before you go into the Citadel, just make sure load up on a lot of your XP boost, things. Because the Shattered Space DLC has some recipes or new consumables, I think, that help with that. Make sure you're loaded up on your med stuff. Now, in the interest of saving time, because I just did this quest Thursday night, I changed my difficulty for taking damage was still set to my usual normal, but then I made it very easy on my damage output, so I was able to kill guys a little easier, just because I didn't want to constantly die and retrace my steps.
Okay, yeah.
You head into the Citadel and you come across phantoms, and you got to fight your way through network of phantoms until you get to where Inosko's there, and he starts talking to you. It's the first time you can really have a legit conversation with him.
Yep.
You're kind of like in a control room, and behind him is this huge warehouse with all these pods, and you recognize them from the Phantom pods from the previous quest. And there's, well over 100. And, the cool thing about being one of these Phantom people is that when your astral projected version of you, this Phantom, is killed or takes enough damage, basically, it disappears, but then you just reappear at somewhere else. So you're basically like an immortal soldier. Unfortunately, though, it's a permanent condition, which we didn't really discuss that. When you take out those interlocks and it kills those people, it's like unplugging from the Matrix. You die. And so,
but you don't revive to a non-Matrix world. You're just done.
Exactly. And now Inosko, because he became a Phantom because of the explosion, I don't think you ever know where his body is technically, and he's not really. Well, yeah, he is a Phantom, but I don't know if he even knows where his body is, or if there was a side effect of it, or if his body's in a tube technically somewhere. I don't think it ever gets into that.
I don't remember ever saying anything about that. Yeah, no.
Yeah. But basically, he needs you to do this part because he can't interact with the physical world. So that's why he needs a real person. But, based on the Exhuming the Past quest, where you kind of discover that he's shady, basically, or not shady, but just not the best of characters, where he's like, these people become the Phantoms, and he's like, this is your duty. You're going to turn into this monster person, basically. And so he wants to do that to all these volunteers in all the pods to start up the crusade again. Yeah. Just a holy war to go and start conquering and forcibly subjugating the galaxy to be worshippers of the Great Serpent.
Yeah.
Either you worship the Great Serpent or you die.
Yep.
And
so makes it a pretty easy choice at your point. Do you want to help with the crusade? or do you not want to help with the crusade?
Yeah.
You really have a black and white choice here.
Well, there's like another decision you make later with the council. We'll get to that later, but yeah. So at this point in time, you either make all these phantoms or you kill them.
Right. He's wanting you to release all of these phantoms out into existence, bring them all, basically rise all these phantoms up, and this will be the start of what you send out to all of the colonized settled systems, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can stop this complete onslaught of death by telling him no, or you can,
Well, yeah, you can either activate right there, the console right in front of you. You can activate the pods to start the whole thing and make all these phantoms, or go to a console on the left where the life support systems for the pods are, and cut that off, and you kill everybody. Kill all the volunteers, which is what I did.
Doesn't sound good either.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like you're doing something kind of. I mean, they volunteered for it, but well, here's the thing. What's interesting is as you're going through this quest or this final mission, you discover Anasko's whole intention and that he initially started was he wanted to hear from the Great Serpent. He wanted to hear, in prayer. He's like, the Great Serpent never speaks to me. I want to hear him, because his grandfather started the serpent religion, right?
Yeah.
And then, did you come across the audio recordings of that? Janan or Jinan, whatever his name was, the founder of
I did the first time, but it's been a while.
Yeah, so he definitely saw something. Like one of the recordings, he is like cracked out on his. Well, in fact, one of the recordings is from somebody else on a ship with him, and this guy's like talking like, "Man, this guy's lost his marbles. He's hearing somebody." And then the recording with Janan, he's just like you. He's like making all these weird noises and crying and like, yeah, I can see it so clearly. And so I'm not gonna I'm not gonna rule out that he wasn't tripping balls. He took some bad mushrooms and then created a religion. That then his son and his grandson Anasko, neither of them were able to hear the Great Serpent. And I don't think they ever understood that maybe the grandfather started this religion just because he was a little crazy. So,
right.
But yeah, so So Anasko goes from wanting to just directly contact the Great Serpent, hear from the Great Serpent directly, to, well, I'm not hearing from him, so I need to do something.
Right.
In service of the faith. Let's start up another crusade and go slaughter the galaxy. Yeah, logical progression of thought, right?
prove our faithfulness to the Great Serpent.
Yeah, so you and I both pulled the plug and killed all the life support. And but there's still, at that point, you then have to go to the top of the spire, because you're now deep down inside the Citadel. So you got to go to the top of the Citadel, to the top of the spire. And when you pull the life support system, something happens at the same time where a bunch of zealots come in.
Yeah.
And so now there's zealots and phantoms fighting all over the place as you're battling. So you can kind of run, and they're always in pairs. It's a little silly. You're always coming across two of them, usually next to each other, sometimes a little bit distant. So you could almost run. Well, I did run through there, because I didn't want to take the time fighting everything. But I mean, it's a ton of loot if you're just want to be over. I mean, I still cleared a couple thousand on me, over encumbered. I mean, I don't care about being over encumbered too much. So
I've got a mod that's called Shades Lootable Bodies. And with his mod, you can take all their meds, all their outfits, their space suits, their guns, their ammunition, everything.
Mm-hmm.
You just leave them there in their underwear. So yeah, I shot everyone. I murdered everyone. I took every scrap of clothing, every bullet, every gun, everything. I made a ton of money off of this.
Yeah, it's definitely a very rich conclusion just from all that. So yeah, you get up to the top of the spire, and there's the huge. I don't know what the device was called, but I think that's the reactor.
Yep. So that's the vortex gate.
Yeah, so the vortex gate. So when this thing got turned on, that's what caused the whole dome thing.
Right.
And you basically have to destroy it at this point, and that's where all those there's like I think 4 of those little modulator things,
I
and
thought it was 3. Okay.
3. So you have to hit these switches. There'll be one switch when you hit the switch, the modulator thing is exposed
Like
temporarily. Yep. Yeah, and it temporarily exposes it, so you got to destroy it pretty fast. And so Anasko is fighting you, plus other phantoms are fighting you. Eventually, zealots spill out, and it's like a little 3-way fight. There's you by yourself, zealots, and phantoms. And
Yeah.
eventually, when you destroy all of them, then you've got to evacuate by running back down through the citadel.
Now, there's one point, once you get all of them but one, I think, Anasco gives you the opportunity to join him. Join me, Luke, kind of a moment.
Really, I didn't have that happen. Do you have to? Does it?
Right before you overload, by taking out the last one, I think you're going to overload the reactor, and it's going to cause everything to go haywire. And at this point, Anasco recognizes that you're about to defeat him, and he is trying to call upon your devotion to the Great Serpent to basically surrender your will to him and follow him. So I saved, and I tried this, and you
Okay.
die. That's it. End of game. You're dead. Go back to your save point. But it was for me. It was an interesting moment that I was like, okay.
Wait. So does he betray you and kill you?
It doesn't really show.
Huh.
It kind of pans out, and you're knelt down in front of him, and he's up on a pedestal or up on a podium area in the big open cathedral, right, where all of the reactor and where you're shooting all the things, right, and all the chaos is going on.
Yeah.
Just about got him defeated, and he's like, you can, hey, we can stop this now, and you can join me, and we can rule the world together, we can rule the universe together, and we can be, it's the whole Luke Skywalker Darth Vader speech. I mean, it was so just come join me, and you're like, oh, okay. And then you kneel down, and it kind of pans out, and then it ends. The game ends, and then it says, then it comes up with you want to restart the game at this point, and then all your saves show up.
That's really weird. Okay, so I must have, if there was a dialogue option right there, I must have just chose whatever quick option to continue the fight. And because I was pretty tired, because I get up for work at 4 in the morning. So Thursday, I got up at 4 a.m. and it was like close to midnight when I was playing this quest. So I was pretty tired. So I must have missed over that. But it's weird that it would just end the game without the save.
There's reading through the objective list here in Inara. There's one. So you've got talk to Anesco, confront Anesco, and then there's one that says all must serve.
Okay.
If you choose the all must serve, that's the one that, okay, well, you give yourself over to Anesco, and he's going to go start the Holy War. Okay. So that's the end. And they don't let you play through that. You don't get to play the evil Darth Vader to the Emperor.
Huh. But you can potentially, if you were to release all the pods. I should have done this. I wonder if I have to save somewhere right before that happened, because then I can go in there and release all the pods and join Onosco there and see what happens.
Right.
I should have done that.
I don't think I did it then. Yeah, I don't think I went backwards. and tried
Yeah.
it at that time to release everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just found it interesting that there's a dialogue trio, and
Yeah.
it's talk to a Nesco, confront a Nesco, or all must serve. And that's your three options, it looks like. And if you pick the one, it just ends the game. So
Yeah.
if you want to try it, make sure you've saved recently so that you can experience all the different outcomes.
Yeah. We'll have to have the listeners. If any of you have, if any of you chose to release all the pods and join a Nosco down in the control room, let us know what happened when you did that, because I'm very curious now how that plays out. Yeah. So once you destroy the 3 modulator things, the Citadel starts to implode into a vortex, and Inosuke's like, "Oh no, what have you done?" It's all
Right.
the world.
That's exactly the point when you could have gone with him and served, or you don't serve.
Then you've got to run back down through the Citadel, and I'm just like, why can't I just run and jump off? I've got a frickin' jetpack. I could jump off and land. No, you've got to run down through the Citadel, and I usually don't like using my nav thing to get the little arrows on the ground. I like to kind of figure things out
Right.
myself, but I was just like so out of it. I was like, where do I go now? But the cool thing about this was that because like the reactors collapsing, it creates these doors and wall. Like, well, in some cases, like there's a wall, and then there's like this vortex window looking thing that you just walk through it into the next room. So at one point, I'm running along, and like there's one in the floor, and you run and you fall through it, and you're basically just falling right through the floor, and you look down, you're like 100 feet up,
Yeah.
and so you're which thankfully that bypassed a lot of the climbing you had to do initially. So you land down.
Right.
That was definitely a pretty intense fall, and it would have killed you if you didn't have a jetpack for sure.
Probably so.
And so you get out, and then it kind of goes into a slight cutscene thing where from your perspective, you stumble, fall, you turn around, you look up, and you see the Citadel, and it's done. And then you go and you talk to the council, and you can kind of tell them various degrees of what has happened. I just chose to tell them the truth, like, hey, Inosuke lost his shit. He lost his marbles, and couldn't save him. Sorry. And then, so one of the council members is like doom and despair, but the other one's like, hey, we are the government. We need to, step up for our sake of our people. So I was like, yeah, what she said.
Right. Because one of the first guy's like, oh, our leader's dead. What are we ever going to do? And the other one's like, hey, hold on a second. I see an opportunity. Now we're the leaders.
Yeah. And so then at that point, you kind of coach them in what to do as far as basically encouraging them to be the government for their people now. Then you also get the option to tell these people just that Inosuke had wanted to start their crusade again.
Right.
And then they all vote on it, right? Oh, no. One votes yes, one votes no. The third one abstains, so the vote comes down to you. They let you be kind of a tiebreaker in that case. And now I chose not to start the crusade. That's me bringing my real life, who I am, into my character that I'm role playing myself. Like, I believe following a faith should be a matter of personal decision. Yeah. So I was like, yeah, we're not going to do the crusade. This is not happening. If I'm going to spread the truth about the Great Serpent, I want to do it naturally and go and talk to people. This is what the Great Serpent is like in my life. This is what he's done for me.
You should wearing yellow robes and carrying flowers.
Yeah. So, but I am curious, like, I'm assuming that's the decision you made too, is not do the crusade. Yep. Yeah. It's like you went through all the work of having all these phantoms killed off. Then why would you then turn around and start the crusade here? Like, it doesn't make sense to, unless you unless you have like a sense of guilt, like, man, we could have really started the crusade. Maybe we should start it now. So, but I'm curious, what would have happened if you had sided with Inosko right out the gate back in the Citadel, in the Exhuming the Past quest,
Yeah.
right? And released all the phantoms, sided
Right.
with him at the Citadel, of course. Or no, well, the Citadel is where all the pods are. So what would have happened if you had sided with him there, released all the pods, and came back to the council? Would he be with you now?
Yeah, that's I did
I
not
don't
read
know.
all that.
Yeah. It would be worth hearing from fans what they did if any of them did side up with Inosko, because then we could find out what happens during this little council meeting. But the end result is that you can either start up the crusade or not, and that's it. And you're standing in, at this point it's weird, but you're standing in the building that becomes your house. It's kind of weird. They kind of linger once you end the quest. You're like, all right, we're not starting the crusade. Peace out.
Yeah, and then a new quest marker pops up and says, "Decorate your new house."
Yeah.
So if you want a few quick experience, you just go through and go to the decorate button and throw a pillow down on the floor and boop, done. You decorated. Yay!
Just to get finish that quest. Now, I will say this about this house compared to all the other houses in the game. This house is a freaking window. A window. I love windows. I like seeing stuff.
Yes. Yeah, and it's got shutters. There's 3 or 4 different shutters throughout the house that you can open and close, changing the lighting in the house and the mood in the room. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So yeah, you get a little bit of experience for decorating your house, and then you're done.
Yeah, I think that's about it for the whole. I mean, there's a lot of side quests that you can do for this.
I had done a few of the Starfield, or I'd done a few of the side quests, but there's still a few more to get through. So I'll probably finish those out, and probably never really not go back to Dazra again. It's not.
That's kind of.
Yeah.
I played it when it first came out, and I've not been back since until we wanted to do this walkthrough, and so I played it a second time. But that's kind of with Fallout 4. I never really went back to Nuka World, right? Because that was a whole new load zone, and you had a whole new world area. And then in Skyrim, you had the one load zone that was the Darkborn Tower or Darkborn Castle or whatever it was with the whole vampire DLC.
Yeah.
Never went back to that one either. I played it, but after that, you're like, okay, well.
Yeah, Darngard. Well, in that particular case, that was a weird one because you had to fast travel to the cave. Or no, I think once you went there, you were able to travel straight to the castle. But yeah, same thing.
Yeah, so I don't know what it is about these additions to the world space. Simply because there's a load screen between them, I'd never go back. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a load screen between, Cheyenne and Aquila, or Cheyenne and Mars, or pick any 2 planets. There's a load screen there, but I'd never go back to Dazra. But there's a lot of side quests, as I was getting at. There's one that's pretty neat. We talked about it before. I don't know if we talked about it on air, but there's 4 temples around the city, and there's a quest to go, and it's like the light in the darkness. Is that what it's called? Maybe. Let's see here.
Yeah, we had talked about this in the past, and I thought you initially were talking about that tunnel path, which is part of the main quest, where you convert to being a serpent follower. But I had already been to, I think, all those temples in my little exploration around the city. And there's always a couple guys up there, I think phantoms or zealots or something.
Okay, it's the name of the quest that I'm talking about is called the Path of Redemption.
Okay.
This is the one that we did talk about this. If they want to force me to change my religion, they should have done it using this method. and you walk through and you go to all these different temples and you read about their religion, and you get to the end, and then you get the choice. Okay, what do you say?
Yeah, yeah,
You read our Bible. Are you
yep.
in? Instead of the other way, and that would have left you free to still be who you are and help them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's where, like, what they should have done was had it set up where if you want to become a follower of the Great Serpent, like, so if you're a follower of the Great Serpent, by converting through converting somewhere in this DLC, and once you help them, once you have those two things, that's how you get ownership of the house. But let's say you help them, but you don't want to convert, which is fine. You just don't get the house. But you always have the option to go back and convert to get the house, right? So it's always there.
Yeah.
That's the way I would have handled it. Now, it's interesting you were talking about this because I double checked the Scaled Citadel rewards real quick. There's an interesting data point here. So you get 322 XP. And this part's cool. This is how you get the ability to build Varun style buildings at your outposts. That's cool. You get 12,000 credits. 12,000 credits is a drop in the bucket compared to all the loot you're about to make selling stuff. But it also says regarding the house, however, should Malabor Dulkef banish you, this house will not be usable as you'll always be killed on sight. So now I'm curious how you can result in being on site with House Varun. Like what decisions would you have made in the Scaled Citadel? Because House Dulkef, he is the faithful one that would want to start the crusade, right?
Yeah.
So you've already gone against him.
But if you make him leader,
yeah. Or well, you know what, the banishing could just be if you start pissing off House Varun and killing him. Maybe then you just get banished. So maybe it's not so much a decision, but the consequence of basically killing. Kind of like with the Crimson Fleet, if you kill a bunch of pirates out there, you come back and you've got to pay them off to, be in their good graces again.
Killing the pirates,
Yeah.
if you're part of the pirates, yeah, kind of kill the whole currency stream, right? Revenue stream for me if I can't kill pirates.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, I've done a couple of the side quests. I know I've still got a few more to go. So
that one, Path of Redemption, it's a pretty good little quest. There's a lot of action in it. You go to each one of the shrines, and I think there's a fight at each one of the shrines, and then there's like a tablet, or like you're reading the holy words, right? So there's some reading that gives you kind of the backdrop of the religion. So if you're role playing that, and you're role playing Married to Andrasia, and you're role playing Conversion, this would be a really good one to role play. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll definitely do all the side quests on this character because I'm never going to come back to Dasra on this character, and any future character I make, I'm not even going to do the Shattered Space DLC. I've got my Ronin character that's my Ronin assassin. She's going to take us through all the other quest lines, the Vanguard, the Crimson Fleet, etc.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to even bother with the Shattered Space DLC again.
You sound a little disappointed.
Yeah, because now that it's weird, it's one of those quests that starts off intriguing, kind of slumps, goes out with a bang, but then isn't really, because of that slump, probably it doesn't have me interested in coming back to it.
There's no hook to bring you back. There's really no reason.
Yeah.
If the world had some kind of mineral deposit that you wanted to mine, it would be worth, coming back and setting up an outpost. I don't know, something.
Yeah.
But there's nothing unique about it that's really says, hey, to play a certain, you need to keep coming back here.
Yeah.
Nothing really there.
And the only reason I would go back and do it is if I just was totally bored and wanted to create a zealot-like character that wants to join House Varun, and then So I choose the background and the traits that would best apply to that character.
Mm-hmm.
But then, even then, you're still an outcast because you didn't grow up in Dazra, so you still have to go through the motions of converting to a religion that you'd already wanted to be a part of, anyways.
Right.
But and that would be the only reason I would come back and to start the Serpent's Crusade thing and see what happens when you do that. Do you come across phantoms that are just randomly killing people out there?
Right. I mean, at that point, you would think that there would be no reason they would all be aligned at the same goal.
Yeah, and then there's literally no reason to come back to Dodger once you finish it. There's no unique trader. There's no unique. The only thing I could think of maybe is some of the weapons that you get in this DLC, the rune weapons. Maybe there's an ammo type that you need to get that you can only get here. That's the only reason I can think of maybe having to come back.
Well, there's that one gun that shoots out a force ball kind of a thing. The Penumbra, is that what it's called?
Oh, okay. I have one of each of the guns in my ship.
Yeah.
That
I gave it to my companion, so they're shooting these big electrified balls across the battlefield.
that way it's almost like a tracer. You know where they're at based on where the shots
wherever
coming
it's
from.
coming from and where it's going to, it tells me the enemies are over there and the good guys are back there.
Yep. But I mean, I kept one of each of the guns just partly for the leveling up and the experience I would get out of it, but also just I'm curious what attachments are there for those weapons. Like how can I modify them? I like tinkering on the weapon workbench. With that. So yeah, I'll play around with that. But I'm still gonna use my Maelstrom, my the Ultra Mag 43 Ultra Mag gun. Which one is that? It's not the Side Star, is it? That's my pistol. Then my little short shotty. I like my compact shotty. Those are my 3 primary weapons. And I do have a hard target, but it's a bit of a letdown. I mean, I can't one-shot things sniping too effectively with it at all. And it's I've got the Dark Star stuff, so it's one of the.
Do you have what about all your skills?
Yeah, all my rifle skills are all set. I don't know if my game's just broken, but anytime I get a sniper rifle, I can't one kill anything. Unless I land a headshot, and then even then it's not a guaranteed kill, and it should be. A headshot with a Dark Star unrivaled sniper rifle should be an instant kill. Period. But
mine are all relic. Do you have the ability to go up to relic yet?
Or relic?
Relic is the highest.
It might be a relic one. I don't know. It's pretty high though.
Yeah,
it's one of the two for sure. All my guns are either unrivaled or relic. And right. Obviously with the Dark Star stuff, I'm putting my own things on. Yeah. So and I finally have a Furious Codex to put on my Maelstrom. That's because right now it's only a rare gun, so it's purple because I need the third effect, and it's going to be the Furious, because I have it as a semi-auto.
Does Furious make the possibility of your enemy attack is
no? The Furious one is where the more consecutive hits you have, the more damage you do, which is great for a semiotic weapon. Because as soon as you miss, I think it resets it. And so if you have a full auto, it's probably not the best because all it takes is your recoil causing you to miss a shot. I guess it would just kind of constantly but I like to have that semi-auto, very trained.
Yeah, tap,
paste. Yeah.
I like the stagger. Is one of my favorite ones to put on a weapon. You get 2 or 3 shots and somebody's charging you and you get 2 or 3 shots off. If they're not down, they get knocked down, which gives you 2 or 3 more shots by the time they get up. So if you're running into like a Starborn that's really hard to kill, it knocks them down a couple of times before they ever get to you. So you usually have the ability to shoot at them, knock them down. They get up, you're shooting at them while they get up, that knocks them down again. So it slows your enemy progression towards you down a lot. So stagger, I like stagger a lot.
Now, speaking of Starborn, in my final universe here, I have not come across any. Now, I did the short version of the main quest where you tell the truth, like, "Hey guys, I'm a Starborn." So I got that whole experience, that whole exchange with all the constellation members. But in my past universes, when I would choose that option, I would start seeing the Starborn populate like usual. Not this time,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know why. So I
I
never,
mean,
because when you kill a Starborn, you get an essence, which helps your powers recharge faster. For like 2 or 3 minutes, right?
hmm?
So I don't have any
I
essences because I would go around and farm those. Well, I could probably go to the temples and farm them that way at least. But yeah,
I run a mod called Starborn Among Us. And that one, there's a whole lot of sliders in your options. You can, how often do the bodies stay? Does their equipment stay? Does everything disappear? Do you get essence? Do you get double essence? I think there's a slider for double essence for each one. In about one, I think mine's like 10%, because like 1 in 10 bad guys ends up being a Starborn.
okay,
So if I'm running through a spaceship, I take over a ship, there's usually going to be 1 or 2 Starborn in that ship.
gotcha. Okay,
But again, I don't use the essence either. That's another one of those mechanics that is
well, it's buried so deep into the menu. You got to push start, go to your powers,
brought up to a favorite so that
and
you have a
then
one
yeah,
button push to use it.
yep. It needs to be on the D-pad. You need to be able to put it on the D-pad so you can hit it. Just like
So that you
hitting,
can push your power and you can push and use the essence and then use the power to double the power strength, the timing or timer
Yep.
or whatever.
Yep.
Otherwise, it's so immersion breaking to have
Yeah.
to stop what you're doing, dig all the way down through the menus to get there,
Yeah.
use it, and then get back into the button.
Yeah.
Or
I,
use it.
I did find that when I would use it, say on some of the kind of like the boss fights, I would hit the power right at the very beginning, and I could usually get through all the minions at least while the power was active, which is helpful. And then at that point, all I have to focus on is the boss, but the power, the essence would have faded, so you just have regular, mana regeneration, for lack of a better word. But by the time I was on the final boss, I was less concerned about my Starborn powers.
Yeah. I'm looking at my mod list over here on Vortex.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to slide it in right beside us here and slot it in right here, but I can't streak the window enough to set it in there. But whatever.
Yeah, that's why I want to set up StreamYard. I was looking at a few different options for different ways to restart recording, and I think I'm gonna go with StreamYard because like some shows and podcasts I've listened to, they use that, and then like they can share their screen. So when we're doing the show here, you can share what you have on your internet browser to
Right.
to see.
Yeah. So into the mod discard, into the DLC discussion would be it's worth doing once. I mean, it's
Oh yeah,
fun the first time, but it's not so incredibly engrossing that you're ever gonna just I gotta go do that again. I mean, the Crimson Fleet stuff, I do that almost every single playthrough. The UC Terramorph stuff, I do that almost every single
yeah,
playthrough. So just after you've played through the game 3 or 4 times, you start to realize what engrosses me and what doesn't. What draws
yeah,
my attention, what draws me back, and what do I not really even care that
yeah,
much about. The base building, I keep saying I'm going to get into base building, but until they do something to give it a hook that's going to draw,
yeah,
I got a spaceship. What do I need a base for?
yeah. Everything that you have at your base is on your ship.
Yeah.
So there's no
I
point in
usually
having a
throw
base.
down a Dark Star landing pad, and that's where I build my spaceships. That's where I sell my captured spaceships. and that's where I do all of my research and my modding for weapons and armor. But this particular one time I did find a place on Jameson around the world from it all by itself on an island, and I kind of built it out, and it's kind of cool because I got like little walkways coming off of the landing pad at water level that go over to the shore and then up some stairs, and then it's got a path running to like a building over here and a building over there.
Yeah.
But they're really and like you ever seen those photos of the resorts in Fiji where they've got the little huts out on the water and
Oh,
the
yeah.
paths leading?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. That's
Okay.
kind of the way
Okay.
I've built out my but I'm not doing anything with the resources. I'm not mining anything. I planted a bunch of apple trees so that I can have fruit. So I'm using Galactic Harvest so I can build, and that gives you a bunch of recipes for a bunch of food and drinks. So I made an animal that gives me dairy, and I planted a bunch of apple trees that gives me fruit,
Okay.
and I got a water concentration, a vapor concentrator that gives me
Yeah.
water. So that's it. That's all my base is for. Is just to use another mod to give me another food source that
Yeah.
gives me bonus experience.
Yep.
And at this point, I'm level 220.
Okay.
Why do I even care about experience anymore?
Yeah, exactly.
So most of what I'm playing for is just playing with new mods and checking
Yeah.
out new mods.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Well, what do you think?
Ugh.
Should we look forward to next one?
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think that wraps it up. I need to get some
Yeah.
sleep. Yeah, our next
think we've been
next
on quite a
recording is
while.
going to be in January. I think January 3rd, most likely. So,
January 3rd.
so listeners, that recording we're going to talk about kind of a 2025 year review, what happened with us in Starfield, what happened in Starfield or lack thereof, and also our hopes for 2026. So if you have any feedback you want us to read for that recording, send it in by January 3rd, so that way we can talk about what we want to see from Starfield coming in 2026, and also kind of what you did in 2025, and let us know your experiences. And I will say this: I did pull this up on my phone, going back briefly to the Shattered Space DLC. I bought the premium game just because I don't remember how much it cost me. I don't remember necessarily the benefit of it. Not the collector's or Constellation edition, but I just bought the premium one, which would I think include all future DLC. So I didn't realize the Shattered Space DLC cost $30 freaking. That's ridiculous.
$30. Yeah, and if you bought the premium, I think it was an additional 15, maybe 20.
No, I didn't have to pay for it.
Well, no, because you could buy the base game for 70, or you could buy the premium edition for like 80 or 90.
Oh, I
You
see.
could buy
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
Constellation edition for 120, and it comes with the box and the watch and
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, so I paid for the extra for the premium, which was definitely not the difference. It was not $30 difference.
Yeah,
I
you
think it
got
was like
6 days early play.
Yep, that's mainly why I did it.
Got the art book, which if you never looked through it, there's a lot of cool art in the art book that came with it. And yeah, you got DLC.
Yeah,
So if they don't, they did that with Fallout 4 also, and then they started calling them creations because somebody sued them whenever they would come out with a creation, and they would say, "Hey, I paid for everything for this game," and so they changed it from downloadable content to creations.
yep. So it's not.
So then you have to pay again.
Yeah, but yeah. So I will say this bluntly: this DLC is not worth $30 unless you really just want to get
But, yeah,
everything else out of the game.
I would agree because there's nothing really special. You don't get ship parts. You don't get the weapons are okay, but they don't do any. Well, there's the one that shoots like the
Energy ball thing.
electrical
Yeah,
energy ball across it.
Yeah.
But even that, it's not super duper. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
$30 worth. That's for sure.
yeah. Well, and hindsight being 2020, I look back at this. I'm like, because the Varun were a breakaway society, but then you do see the zealots, out there doing still doing the Crusade. All the Zealot ships you come across, they're like Stroud Eklund and Nova Galactic parts or whatever, right? They're mainly Stroud Eklund. They should have had Varun parts, ship parts, structure, habs, the whole 9 yards. What they should have done was in the base game when it first launched, you have all of their ships you come across are those. So you can steal the ship and you have access to those parts that are on that ship. But in the builder, if you remodel the ship and you get rid of one of those, you don't get that part back again, right? You don't have access to a shipbuilder to use them. You have limited access because you've taken over and commandeered a ship. Right. And then the hook would be when you download the DLC for Shattered Space, you have their shipbuilder with access to all the rune ship parts. That would keep me going back to Dasra.
Yeah. If you liked the ship parts and the habs, then you either need a mod that unlocks all parts at all shipbuilders, or just like vanilla, you got to go over here to get Hope Tech parts, and you got to go over here to get Deimos parts, and you got to go over here to get Dasra Varun parts now.
Exactly. That's what
the ship you got to fly all over to get your ship built the way you want to.
Yeah, I mean that
would have definitely made Dasra a location.
Yeah, I mean certainly to go back to, assuming you're not running that mod, but then also just at that point it would have been more worth purchasing the DLC. You know, now it would make sense that, I mean, Nova Galactic is the oldest company, which is, you know, why they're based out of the Sol system. So it would make sense that maybe some of their older ships have some Nova Galactic pieces that are there. What they could have done was like call it Nova Galactic Varun Captain's Quarters or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Stroud Eklund is the newest company in the Settled Systems.
Yeah, there shouldn't be any Stroud Eklund stuff with them because they're so segregated. Why would they? How would they get those parts?
Yeah, I mean, they do trade outside. You discover that because there's the one quest where you got to work with that guy that's a trader. He's allowed special access to Dasra, but outside of, you know, but that's more for supplies. It's not trading for ship modules and stuff. So,
but if you have the ability to build a spaceship at your wherever, right?
Yeah.
All you really need are the designs. So it's not like they had to bring modules over. All they had to do was bring over a slate of designs.
Yeah, I guess that's in how they could have explained that their ships are very heavy Stroud Eklund influenced. But then they wouldn't build it with the Stroud Eklund logo on the ship.
Exactly.
But
yes, at that point they should have, maybe they look exactly the same, but they should say, you know, product of this great serpent.
Yeah. There is a mod that for the Stroud Eklund parts that removes the Stroud Eklund logo from it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Which, because a couple of the cowlings and the structural pieces, you know, have the Stroud Eklund logo on it. So it's kind of annoying to have that on your ship, just always there. So
that's one of my favorite colors to use, is that kind of yellowish orange.
Yeah.
So it fits my color schemes pretty good when it does have the streak, the Shroud Eklund streak on it.
So, all right, folks. Well, that wraps up this episode and the finale of the Shattered Space DLC, as well as our final episode of the year. And as always, if you have any feedback, you can send it in to starfieldreport@gmail.com. Our upcoming next episode, we're going to record in early January 3rd. So that episode will be dedicated to covering 2025 and what we liked and did and we're up to in 2025. And then also we'll talk about 2026 and our hopes and dreams for the upcoming Starfield content. So if you have any feedback for all that, get it sent in, starfieldreport@gmail.com.
We have a guest for that episode, at least one confirmed. We're looking at getting a second guest confirmed. so we
Yep.
can have a true 4-person roundtable for our New Year discussion. So yeah, if you guys have anything that you want to talk about, throw that into the general on our general tab on our Discord. Send us emails, pictures, ship builds, all the stuff.
Yep.
We love you guys.
So, all right, folks. Well, take care. Any last words, Jax?
Well, as always, drive fast, take lots of chances.
Well, folks, take care. We will see you in Starfield.
Now that was some fine work under pressure.
Get out of here, Dusty. You're on to bigger things.